content author for our architecture badge, which is a set of on-demand courses.
I know everybody's really excited about the architecture badge coming online. We're looking forward to that. So Beth, in your expert opinion, what is architecture and why is it so important?
Well, we know what architecture is when we look at a building, because we're used to seeing drawings and knowing that that's what helps us create the building. But everything that's a system has an architecture. That's how we define how all the system elements come together to make the system do what it's supposed to do. And when I talk about system elements, I mean hardware, software, people. And so the architecture is how all those things come together. The reason it's important is because the only way you can have an effective architecture is if you intentionally design those system elements to work together effectively.
That kind of leads me to my next question is, what are some of the challenges to understanding architecture and to doing what you just suggested?
So I think architecture is a challenge because it has art as well as the science. So when I teach the systems architecture class, I have an assignment where I ask the students to define the architecture for a system that they know well. And it could be their backyard pool. It could be their wedding plans. It could be their favorite amusement park ride. It could be their kids' soccer team. And some of the students really thrive and are engaged with the idea that this is an art and this is how all the system pieces work and how that interaction is. And some of the students really struggle with how there's no right answer. And they have to, balance different constraints and different stakeholder views, because as an architect, we are translating the stakeholder expectations into a solution. And the stakeholders represent the people who are developing the system, the people who are going to use it, the people who are going to build it, the people who are going to fix it, the people who are going to upgrade it. And because of that, you can have conflicting stakeholder expectations, and the architect's job is to balance that trade space and come up with the right solution for that solution. And it's not, there's no right answer. It's just what makes the most sense for that particular system.
Well, I definitely agree with you on that. I know that system engineering itself is really part art form, part science, part technology, part engineering. All those different pieces have to all come together. I think we both know that system engineering really does a lot with architectures. And it's architectures in a lot of system engineering processes and things. But can you tell us, how does architecture apply to other engineering disciplines?
Well, I think it's important to understand that every system has an architecture. So that, and when I talk about a system, I mean a physical system, something we interact with, but it could also be a process. And so I'm not surprised that when I teach the architecture class as an open enrollment, most of the students are outside of systems engineering, because the robotics students want to understand the right balance between what is the logic in the robotics versus what has to be done externally versus what comes in from the sensors. And autonomous vehicles, how much is made autonomous and how much of it is externally controlled, and where does safety fit into this? And even when we think about software for the systems engineering architecture team, the software architecture is an allocated architecture. For the software team, that is the top level architecture. And so we need an architecture defined for all of our systems, whether it's for an IT system or a medical services delivery system, a transportation system, they all have an architecture. And systems architecting is what makes the solution effective.
You can certainly tell that architecture is everywhere.
Mm.
And you can't look around any place and not see architecture of some kind. So how can somebody learn more about architecture?
Well, we have a lot of resources here at WPI. Certainly, there's the class that is part of our Master's in Systems Engineering program that can be taken by itself. But we also have now this architecture badge, which allows somebody to take the classes on demand. Each class is about an hour long. We have 4 videos. Each one's about 15 minutes or less, and we cover. There's 9 different classes that make up the badge. So we cover the basics so that somebody can just be more understanding of the vocabulary to interact with the architecture team. We cover different types of architecture and the design concepts so that somebody who's new to an architecture team or supervising architects can benefit from it. And then we have some of the classes that are like for example, stakeholder engagement and stakeholder analysis. That applies to requirements development, test and evaluation that has applications beyond architecture. And the modeling class that how do we represent the architecture applies to all aspects of design. But I think it's also helpful to somebody who's a practicing architect, because we pull in some of the recent changes in the frameworks. So the on-demand classes can be taken individually, or you can stack them up for the badge.
Excellent. So it really sounds like the badge is really up to date and relevant right now.
In fact, the TOGAF class, the Open Groups Architecture Framework, that was just updated last year. And so the class reflects the latest changes in that.
Oh, excellent. I'm really looking forward to checking out the badge myself.
Yeah, and in the architecture evaluation class, I pulled in some of the concepts for evaluating architectures that are being designed as part of an agile development. So we capture different types of architecture and also different types of development, and from allocated architectures up to system of systems.
Wow. I'm looking forward to it again. Like I said, excellent.
No, I think I'm looking forward to the badge being out there, because the art and science of systems architecture is a challenge, but it's an invigorating challenge. And one of the things that my students tell me when they take the class is that they now see architecture everywhere.
Yeah.
And they're, they can architect things that they hadn't thought they could use those tools for. And the fact that you can architect a wedding reception or a kid's soccer game, I think is interesting and useful.